Hey, it's Doug Cunnington here from the Niche Site Project. I'm out on a walk. I'm walking my dog Brody. So I thought I'd try and do a quick live stream here. And I was hoping to be out, there's like a park over there, but it's kind of windy today, so I didn't want the audio to be all blasted out and windy. And this is the first attempt of, shooting a live stream, not on Wi-Fi. So I'm connected to LTE. I have no idea if this is going to transmit or be choppy or anything like that. Hopefully some people will attend live so I can get some feedback to see if audio is okay, that sort of thing. You're always concerned about audio, especially after trying to do a webinar and then finding the audio doesn't work. But I did find some shelter here, so I'm like in a shopping complex area here, and I'm sort of in a covered area. I'll turn the camera around in a second just so people can see the park that I'm not in. I'll show you the park that I'm not in, and then maybe one day when it's not so windy, I'll be able to do a live stream out there where you can actually see stuff. So cool, I see a couple people are on. Awesome. Can you hear me okay? Just give me like a thumbs up, or you can type in the chat like, hey, I can see and or hear you, Doug, and that sort of thing. So since I'm walking the dog, I'm going to be a little brief, but I hope to convey some couple points here. And I was walking around the other day thinking about how me having webinars, running these webinars over the last quarter. So I've done about 12 webinars in the last quarter since January. So basically once a week, I would have a webinar, cover some internet marketing material. Sometimes I would present similar information, but I would learn something new after I presented it the first time, and I would do it again. And you hear about webinars being one of the most profitable things that you can do in internet marketing. You can sell courses, you can sell this or that or anything. And you hear about people that started their business through just having webinars, and they had no audience. They didn't have a product, and they started doing webinars, and next thing you know, they were making $1 million a year. Crazy stories, right? But when I first started doing webinars, number one, I was nervous, right? And this is back like 2014, right? So like 3 years ago, I was like nervous about webinars. I was nervous about presenting the information. I was afraid people wouldn't show up. I was afraid people were gonna be mean and like make fun of me when I was presenting information. And something clicked. I don't know what it was earlier this year, but I realized that my corporate career, in which I eventually was laid off in 2015, my corporate career prepared me perfectly for that portion of internet marketing, that is to run webinars. So I'll explain. My job before was a project manager. So I worked in management consulting and some other consulting arrangements. So I know a lot of people in my audience actually are in project management, in consulting, and in software. So if you're in software at all, you've bumped into people like me who are project managers. And project managers, they're kind of overhead, right? I know the reality, project managers are overhead to a project. But in a lot of ways, they are critical to help coordinate like what's going on within a project. Now, the interesting thing is most of my job consisted of attending meetings at first. Like whether I was, starting out and I was writing software, or I was testing software, or eventually I was running a testing team for a certain project. I also worked on requirements and everything within a project I worked on, but I was attending meetings at first. I was attending lots of meetings. Most of your day is spent in meetings. You can't get a lot done when you're in meetings, unfortunately. Well then, after I sort of worked my way up and became a project manager after a couple of years, I see a comment there from Emil. It looks like it was retracted, but hopefully, can people hear me? By the way, I'll just pause for a second. Just someone let me know. Yeah, I could hear you. Give me a thumbs up or something. Okay, cool. Emil, thank you. That is awesome. Appreciate it. And if anyone has questions, you can let me know. So basically, I became a project manager, and then I was running meetings. I was running the meetings, I was scheduling them, and unfortunately, I became the source of wasting time. Although, again, critical component, one must, organize and coordinate people to make sure the projects get done and schedules line up, and it's a critical role. But again, I know the reality is a little bit of overhead. So I was organizing the meetings, and here is how it trained me for internet marketing. So I was running these meetings where I essentially was scheduling the meeting. I was preparing the material for the meeting. I was preparing PowerPoint presentations at the time. Now I work in either, I use the Google Drive, Google suite of products. So it's free. I think it's like presentation, Google presentations, right? So I just use that and I create those presentations. Now, after you create the presentation, you have to run a meeting, which is putting together an agenda, making sure that, people can hear what the presenter's saying. And then it gets a little more complex at a meeting where a lot of times there are opposing parties that are, it's political, right? They're talking over each other and they're trying to, in some ways, monopolize what's happening in the meeting and or push their own agenda. So in a webinar, luckily, the organizer, like myself, would have full control. I could boot people out, right? But in a corporate setting, one has to, set the agenda and then make sure the meeting runs smoothly. That's sort of like a successful meeting. You can't, it's terrible to show up to a meeting without an agenda or understand how the timing is going to run. And when you look at a webinar, I need it to last for about an hour for the content, and then I can answer questions as long as people want to answer questions, and it doesn't interfere with my own personal schedule. Like maybe I need to walk Brody, who's sitting right next to me. But the point is, at some point after I worked on a couple of the webinars in like January and February, I thought, hey, this is not as hard as it used to be. I used to be really nervous. I used to not know what I should present. But then after I took a step back, went through the motions a couple times, I saw that, hey, I could run webinars easy. I've been doing this for 3-4 hours a day, 5 days a week for like 9 years, and I can run a meeting. It's super easy. And then if you don't have to contend with the politics of the corporate environment, then it's much easier to run a webinar than it is to run a meeting. So that's kind of how I ended up running these webinars. And as a sneak peek, I haven't advertised it yet, but I am doing a webinar on Thursday on how you can get promoted if you have a corporate job. By the way, I see like 6 people are on. Who has like a corporate job where they're like trying to get promoted? You could just give me like a thumbs up. I think if you tap the screen, if you're watching on your phone, you give me a thumbs up or just say, hey, yeah, I'm in a role where I could get promoted. Because I'm going to talk about how I got promoted. I went through like 3 major promotions, and I went from making about $50K a year to about 100 in about 8 years. And it was through stepping back and really understanding what it takes to be promoted, which is usually a lot different than what they tell you need to do to get promoted. So that's going to be on Thursday at noon. Mountain time, so that's like GMT -7 if you're not in the US time zone, which potentially a lot of people aren't. So that's it. I did say I'm going to pan around and I'm going to show you the park that is much too windy out there, but I'll show you the park real quick. I'm going to turn around the video for a moment, and I'm going to call it a day. Thanks for checking it out here today. It's a nice day. Now, ideally, I would have turned it around and there's some mountains on the other side, but it's just really blowing in today. And then I'll show you Brody real quick. He's very patient, waiting on the walk. Hey, Brody. All right, thanks again for attending. And I guess I'm publishing a lot more YouTube videos coming up soon, so be sure to check those out. See you, Brody. All right. Thanks.